So it's raining this morning, but I really wanted to try this out even in the rain because you can't control the weather, and this is something I've been planning to do. Anyway, today on this walk with me, I wanted to discuss an idea that has really been a huge game changer for me. And it's basically that idea that we choose our lives and that we come here and we kind of decide on certain big things. Like, I don't think our whole life is completely determined. I still think we have free will, but there might be some big, major things that we have to go through or learn, and just how powerful that can be. And in a way, it almost doesn't matter if you believe that or not. I still have days where I believe in everything, and there's other days I believe in nothing. But this idea, for it to be beneficial, it almost doesn't matter. So the first time it actually happened to me was about, I'd say, 10 years ago. And I had just moved to Montreal, and I was working, I had to start over in my job because I basically had to get new clients, get new contacts. I'm a freelancer, and so I basically almost had to start over. And so I was working at this job where I was completely underpaid, undervalued, not really, a place that, wasn't a job that was super exciting or fun. I was already not so happy with my own situation. And then I saw on Facebook that one of my friends back home was about to win an award at this super prestigious ceremony, basically like winning an Oscars. And, for sure, I'm happy for my friend and all, but I was also completely going through a lot of envy, and not necessarily even envy, but more like, oh my gosh, why not me? What's my problem? Like, why am I in this situation? And I was pretty much being in a victim mode. And the funny thing is, at the time I was reading You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And she mentioned something like that we choose our parents, something like that. And that idea sat with me. And I remember I was editing my film, this little corporate film that was really kind of crappy. And all of a sudden, it hit me, though, this idea that we chose our lives. And all of a sudden, I thought to myself, well, why would I have chosen my life? Why would I have not chosen my friend's life, who's winning all these awards and being super successful? What is it that would have made me want to choose my life as a soul? Like, why? What could I be learning here? And for some reason, something happened, and it was super profound. And all of a sudden, I remember I relaxed into the moment and just thought, oh, okay, I chose this. Why? And all of a sudden, instead of feeling like, why is this happening to me? I was thinking more like, what can I learn from this? Why would I have done this? And I even started thinking, well, maybe I chose to live a really simple life that's maybe, quote unquote, unsuccessful in the eyes of others. And that my lesson here is to have to learn, I don't know, something else. And it just was crazy, though, how all of a sudden I felt so much more at peace, and peace with my situation. And actually, a lot of other things stopped happening, in the sense of like, I really stopped feeling as if life was happening to me. And it really started feeling as if life was happening for me, for my lessons. Obstacles, in the end, stopped feeling as if like, oh, poor me, why does this always happen to me? And I started feeling more like, oh, what can I learn from this? All my obstacles started feeling more like lessons. And of course, this doesn't happen overnight. It's not like all of a sudden I had no more envy for my friend. That did not happen. I actually feel like this learning has taken me quite a long time to actually really integrate, because that's the thing. It's, at the beginning, it's just this concept. And at the end, it only starts really making sense when you put it into practice, and when you kind of start feeling the benefits of it. And actually recently I've been super, super proud of myself because so I'm a freelancer, and so I have different contracts. And the last contract I had started in basically May. It was a 3-month contract. And when I got there, there was this colleague there who just, I felt, was just picking on me a bit, and not in an overt way, like nothing I could really call this person out on, but just little small remarks, kind of shaking my confidence, making me kind of doubt myself. Even, like, well, what are you doing? Why would you say something like that? Anyway, I remember my first default, because, we still have default things. My first default was, oh, poor me. I always attract this type of person. Why is this happening to me? Why do I keep attracting this? Like, and then also those types of people, I do have like a past of feeling very insecure about myself. And so it really shook my confidence. And I went back down to some of the places I usually go to, which is, I must not be smart enough to deal with this, or something's wrong with me, basically, for this situation, for not being able to handle it, for not being able to be, I don't know, good enough to have like a good, like to be able to say something when this happens. And the good thing though is that I caught myself at one point, and really it wasn't even like in the past. Sometimes I've had to really kind of like more do it like as a kind of like forcing myself to reframe things. And this time it happened automatically, and I was super proud of myself because instead of like, sure, I had the victim kind of thing for like about a day, and then afterwards I was like, you know what, I like, this is a great opportunity to me. Like, I have this 3-month contract, and this could be a 3-month crash course on how to deal with somebody like this, how to deal with somebody who shakes my confidence. And sure, maybe I keep attracting this person into my life because maybe I haven't learned this lesson. And so this is an opportunity for me to be able to use it. And I'm gonna not see this as like an obstacle that's been put on my path to kind of like, reinforce the fact that poor me and these things happen to me. It's been put on my path actually for me to help me, to actually help me improve this. And so it was really funny too, because as soon as I changed that, I actually was kind of excited to go to work the next day, and I was like, okay, this is my course. I'm going to try to, do things in a different way. Like, I think in the past, what I would have done with somebody like this is I would either have just avoided this person or tried as much as possible to just kind of close up. Or my other default way is that I would basically be on the defensive and kind of like, like close up, but in a different way, and actually kind of almost not be aggressive, but like any comment I would kind of, react. And that's not good, because then they can really feel that they got you, because they can tell that they've like pushed that button. So this time what I was trying to do was just like, this person probably is insecure, and the reason why they're kind of picking on me is, has nothing to do with me, and that I'm going to try as much as possible, of course, like we all get triggered, but as much as possible, not to take it personally, and to just be okay with this person, and, actually send them love. And the funny thing is, when I changed that aspect and I decided to go to work, I was excited about trying my new technique out. Well, you know what? The person was completely different, and I didn't even have to change or do anything. The person started being really nice to me, and I was so kind of blown away, and it reminded me just how powerful we are, and like we hear all the time that like we can't change others, and that the only thing we can do is change ourselves. And that is a perfect example of that. Whereas it's true, I couldn't change the other person, and I didn't change the other person. I didn't change the situation. My colleague was the same. I'm the same. Her reactions were the same. But by me changing myself, then something changed. And I didn't actually have to deal with the situation anymore. And something unblocked there. And of course, I'm not saying that these things are always going to, miraculously change like this one happened to. But some days the person does still kind of say something funny, but I've kind of not so wound up about it that I feel better. But I just found it so interesting how it was through a simple change of framework, in the sense of like, all I had to do was, instead of feeling like I was a victim to this, sorry, my umbrella, instead of feeling like I was a victim to this, think, oh, how can this be an opportunity for me to grow and learn? And by me changing that, all of a sudden the situation completely changed. And I find that just in life, if we can see a lot of our obstacles in that way, then it can really help us be able to move forward in life in such a different way. The energy is different. And also, it's just so much more pleasant. So much more pleasant to think that, that life is not, that we're not a victim, that the universe is not out to get us, it's actually out to help us. And I love that quote by Mary Oliver in a poem that she wrote that's called The Uses of Sorrow. And she says, somebody once gave me a box of darkness, and it took me a very long time to understand that that too was a gift. And what I love about that is that it's the exact kind of, it's, first of all, it's just so poetic and beautiful, but also it's just a reminder that many of the things that we kind of see as negative can actually become very positive later once we integrate them. But it's also a reminder that these things take time and that it's not going to just happen overnight. And, in my case, for example, I still have a bunch of boxes of darknesses that I do not know. And I still feel that they're dark, and I haven't necessarily converted them into gifts yet. But what I like about that quote is that it's not like I actually have to convert them myself. Time will help me do that. Integration, of course, I'm taking action for that, but time and just the fact of kind of like healing and starting to integrate our experiences, seeing things as lessons instead of as punishments, just really is a game changer. And again, to me, it doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in this or not. It's just basically almost going with it like blindly and seeing the benefits of changing just your frame of mind, and how, if the practice helps, it doesn't matter whether you believe or not. Follow the practice. And in this case, for example, changing my way of thinking of this situation with my colleague, really helped. Whether or not I believe that this was a lesson for me, or whether it was just, randomness, it doesn't matter. What did matter was that thinking of it as a lesson changed the way I acted, which then changed the way the situation seemed to me, and made my whole contract and my whole summer, because it was a 3 months starting in May, so much nicer. And for that reason, I don't care if it's true or not. I care about the result. And so on that, I'm wishing you lots of love and lots of laughter as you also maybe try this idea on for size. Try seeing some of the things you're going through that might be a little bit heavy or dark, and try seeing them as an opportunity instead of a punishment. Try seeing what you can learn from this situation. Maybe even start thinking of it as a game, and also giving yourself a little bit of grace if you can't, because sometimes it's really hard to reframe negative things. But like in that poem, give yourself some grace and know that if you have the intention to, it will. It just might take some time, and that's okay. So I'll see you next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.